My name is Dell.
Hi, I'm Sophie.
My name is John.
My name is Libby.
So my name is Matthew.
I play Amelie, who is a half-elf ranger.
My character's name is Dov, and he is a homebrewed geomancer.
My character's name is Ara, and she is a halfling rogue.
I'm playing a human warlock fighter. He does not have a name, but he is a member of a religious organization, and we refer to him by his title in that organization. He is a vicar of the Holy Church of Tar.
And I am the dungeon master for the campaign of Achan. So Achan is a world close to 6 years in the making at this point. Me and my best friend, we started building this coming right off the high of Game of Thrones. We had just watched the last season, and we were frothing at the mouth for this sort of interactive and intense world that's sort of always fighting with itself and trying to find an equilibrium in a greater society.
Matthew and I were fresh off the high of Game of Thrones, and we had this idea for this struggle, this conflict of nobility and of war, and we really wanted to incorporate this paleontology influence we both had. We're big nerds. We both really love dinosaurs. We have since we were children. And so getting the opportunity to kind of merge these fantasy ideas into each other to kind of make these dinosaurs the dominant species of the land, that's kind of been the goal. And sure, we've had to come up with explanations for what we're doing with mammals in that case, but dinosaur.
Is that higher than your survival?
Yes, it is.
Oh my god!
What if I am
don't have
you're going the
proficiency in
wrong way?
survival.
Let me.
I would like to point out.
I really like all of my player characters and my non-player characters. I think they're all very interesting, especially my player characters. I think especially this group is some of the most well thought out and well built characters I've ever had the pleasure of playing with.
He's very simple. He doesn't say a lot. And that's where some of the comedy comes from, is simple one-word responses to very complicated questions is what I enjoy. He's a scribe, kind of. He writes down events that he sees in a stone tablet and records those as part of his history. So he is kind of trying to stay impartial to most events.
I guess it's a little hard. I didn't have a great idea for my character. I just kind of was throwing things against a wall to see if they stuck, and it was a lot of communicating with the DM, trying to figure out what would fit in this world, because it is a very unique world, but also I hadn't played at all personally, so I was actually very nervous, and I didn't want to do something that was incredibly intense. Ara started as a daughter of nobles, and I really had thought I was going to lean into that a lot more. I thought that I was going to play up a lot of her intellect and a lot of her maybe knowledge of diplomacy, and I didn't end up using near as much of it as I thought, and I think it's because when playing it out, we leaned a lot more into all those roguish aspects about her, and so she very quickly from that point kind of shifted from a noble person's daughter and that being her only thing to her trying to find herself, and her trying to find herself in this reckless form of doing whatever she wanted.
So this particular vicar of the Holy Church of Tar was part of a specific initiative. Usually when a vicar joins the church, it is as a willing, conscious adult person. It is a choice, a voluntary thing usually, but this vicar was part of an initiative to put orphans in the vicariate, and so this is a person who has never known an identity of their own, who is fully kind of indoctrinated in this belief system of the Church of Tar. And so his story has largely been one of being disillusioned, of seeing the flaws in his belief system, and kind of adapting to the world of Achan as he gets to experience it for the first time. He's a little weirdo. You're never sure what Vickers gonna do. He's gonna disappear for a few minutes and come back riding a dinosaur. It does not make any sense. He is guided by voices in his brain that tell him to do strange things.
Amelie is a young woman who was adopted by foster parents who were both very intelligent. One is very mechanically inclined. The other one is very much diplomatically inclined, I would say. And so she's got this subsect of skills that she's grown up with, where she can put together guns and take them apart, but she also knows how to turn around and put all these herbs and things together, and combining those has been really fun. She fires little canisters out of her gun that is full of, it can be full of potions, it can be full of poisons, it can be full of dust, it can be full of all sorts of things. And so she creates these areas of effect instead of attacking one specific person. But she's also eats a mushroom called love cap that makes her hallucinate violently and vividly. And so that has been something that I've never played before, I've never dealt with before. And so like learning and leaning into it, and she's very funny. She's very funny. She loves her parents. She thinks about them all the time, talks to them all the time. They're going through a bit of turmoil right now because of war. But I think in the end it will all turn out okay. She's fiercely protective of her friends. She is loving and giving, and she tries, certainly. She's not the most graceful socially, but she certainly tries. And really, yeah, she kind of just does her own thing as she feels like in the moment.
You've never seen this thing before in your life. It's some weird furry potato with two large French sharpened teeth and what can only be described as some kind of paddle for a tail. And it's roughly his size, and he's about 6.5 feet tall.
What are you all doing at my camp?
We are trying to get to a city, but we were kind of just dropped here out of the sky, and so it's kind of hard to navigate right at the moment. So we kind of just were walking towards the smoke.
I think it is really unique because instead of these houses just sort of being represented by just a symbol, instead our houses are represented by an actual physical creature that they employ within their armies and within their society. We have a kingdom called Rex or Tyrannus, which employs the mighty tyrant king, also known as a T-Rex. And so these creatures are used as war mounts. They're used as agricultural creatures. They're used as simple transportation between towns. And it is a sort of thing that I don't see a lot of fantasy settings do, that have really interesting magical creatures, but they don't integrate them into the greater society because it is just always safer to have the horse do the pulling or to have the bear be the most unique mount that the people have. But sometimes seeing a person riding a pterodactyl into battle is just kind of awesome.
My favorite thing about Achan is how alive it feels. Even when we feel like we get things nailed down, there's always a little bit more we can do to make it feel more lived in.
The world building, the exploration, the world building is very in-depth, and I've enjoyed that a lot.
I think the dinosaur aspect as a concept is really cool. I think that it's hard to do, but I think that my DM and my partner know so much about dinosaurs that it's just kind of like magic watching them put it all together, just pulling these long scientific names out of a hat and be like, actually, I would like this one to look like this, and I can't repeat what that dinosaur name is because I don't know it, but that's why it's like magic.
I think my favorite thing is, I mean, being someone that is new, it's very nice for the people around you to be the people that created the world because they readily have some answers for you. So that's very convenient and very handy. I don't know where we are. I don't know where I'm from. I don't know anything about that. So maybe the fun part about playing in Achan is almost the convenience. But also just, there are such rich stories, and this theme of war has been really fun, and global takeover has been very fun to play out, especially in a setting that's very unlike our own world, but not even in the sense of magic and prowess, but in the sense of, I mean, the everyday animals around us and what we are experiencing as we go through this world, and being able to stretch my own imagination and learn more about things that I've never thought about before. Sometimes I think the hardest thing about playing D&D is any kind of like communication barrier, especially when you don't always have pictures. There's a lot of times that we have to draw things out for understanding, and I think that can be incredibly difficult, is just the brain difference in what you're visualizing. I think that causes the most hangups in a session sometimes.
Within our party, we face a lot of decision paralysis. We get faced with this scenario, and we panic and we don't do anything because we start fighting about what the correct answer is. And it eventually results in one of us kind of biting the bullet and doing something that none of us wanted to do, which is funny, but it is not conducive to team gameplay.
With a campaign that's been going on this long, it's hard to kind of keep track of everything that's happened because it's been like 5 years of weekly stuff happening. So some stuff gets lost.
You get so emotionally attached to your character that when they feel something and when they are going through something, it's hard not to feel it also. When my character is experiencing a betrayal, it is hard to not feel like I am also experiencing a betrayal. I'm not. There's nobody that's betrayed me, but I have played her and been her for so long that the things that she goes through and the things that she would feel, I kind of know and can anticipate and play alongside that. And so it's hard not to get wrapped up in emotions that are not mine, and especially when it's like a big emotional moment, something sad or grief or destruction or, those sorts of things.
Oh yeah, I am incredibly attached to Ara, and I didn't really know if I would be when I started because I've never played before, as per mentioned. But I think, especially because the first session or two, it was really just a shell of an idea. I didn't even really know if she had anything going for her or what I was going to do with her. But as I just kept playing her, I started almost understanding what she stood for, and the more that she developed as a person, that I started to understand like the thoughts and the motivations behind, I started very much caring about her and like wanting to see her story unfold and progress and know where she goes, and like trying to understand how she feels because I want to portray that to my party and I want her to feel not just two-dimensional. So the more that I built her as a person and started to develop those things once we got past the initial sessions, I very much care for her.
I think my favorite part of this process has just been sharing it with my friends. This world means a lot to me, and I've put a lot of thought and a lot of effort not only into the world building, but a lot of the characters. And there's always just tiny little references to different things in there. I just like that my players are really willing to interact. with me and with the world and with each other. It's something that I haven't really had a lot of before, and because of that, it's led to some genuinely touching moments between characters. It's those moments that I really cherish and I relish in them. You know, when my players feel despair, I know it sounds kind of insane to say, but I'm almost overjoyed when my players are feeling these bad feelings, because I know that I'm doing a good job of telling this story. And I have done a good job of helping them get attached to their character, and how they're helping them attach their character to this world.